Welcome to the Roncast, where entrepreneurs find killer tips, techniques, and tools to start and growth hack any business. Brought to you by one of Canada's favorite business personalities, Ron Davies. Enjoy the show.
Hi, and welcome back to the Roncast. I'm your host, Ron Davies. Hey, you know what? There's probably people screaming at you from all directions, telling you what it is you should do. You know, and the other day we had a podcast about how you aren't making a lot of decisions about what you buy because marketing people are doing that. Well, the funny thing is that having thought about that podcast after the fact and getting a couple of emails on the subject, it doesn't end there, right? And if you ever have those kind of days when you feel conflicted inside about what you're doing and where you're going, that's a pretty good indication that you have things pulling you in different directions. I was sitting out in our sunroom this morning. I was sitting out there with my amazing wife, Sonia, who does success coaching for people. And she's wildly successful at helping people be successful. And she had a couple of clients here yesterday, and one of them was feeling conflicted just like that. And she said that COVID, this whole COVID lockdown thing, has been very helpful to her because, like so many of us, she was living like a zombie, getting up in the morning, get ready for work, go to work and deal with those things, and then come home, prepare a meal, clean up the dishes, get the kids handled and off the bed, and just doing this every day. And it's kind of empty. Yeah, sure, you're paying the bills, you're paying for the food, but it's an empty pursuit. It doesn't really go anywhere. And she said she wanted to examine how she got to where she is in her life. How did that happen? And quite simply, most of us are being pulled in two directions all the time, and the one that shouldn't win is winning it. The two directions are our culture and our society establishes a paradigm for us of what we should do. You go to grade school, you go to high school, you go to college, university, or maybe you just head off to work, and you produce a family, and away you go. And this is what our culture and society is telling us to do, at least historically. Now, there is a bit of a groundswell going on in terms of people making choices about their lives that were not conventional before, people working from home or becoming solopreneurs, which is great, but it's a very slow groundswell. So you have culture and society pulling you in one direction. This is what you're supposed to do. And then you have your values and your passions that are calling to you from within you, telling you should be doing something else. This particular lady that was here yesterday does remarkable art on wood. And I'll try to describe it. Basically, she takes a plank of, like a slice of a tree, and does wood burning, but she does it like a portrait. And it is absolutely astonishing. This is what she loves to do, and she's quite fast at it, and the outcomes are remarkable. And she said, well, I don't know if anybody would ever buy one of these. I don't know if I could survive doing this. So I asked her, well, what have you done to find out? And she said, well, nothing really, because I have my job and this and that and the other thing. I said, so far, the only person between where you are now and where you want to get is you. You're basically in your own way. And she clearly had an epiphany standing there. She left, I think, a very different person than when she arrived. And I think we all need to have that moment like she had. Pretty much all of us, since childhood, have had our passions established. And it could be anything. Maybe your passion is just being a dad or being a mom. Maybe it's being a great chef, or in the case of this lady, someone who does art, an artisan. Or maybe it's to write a best-selling novel, or maybe it's to be a dinosaur. And if that's it, I probably can't help you. But, it could be just about anything. We're passionate about something. And then that passion has to honor whatever your highest values are. And if you've never taken the time to figure out what your, say, 3 highest values are, you're definitely in the larger percentile of the population that doesn't know what the F they're doing or where the F they're going, right? So if you don't know what your values are, and let me give you an example. One of my highest values is freedom, right? Freedom. So it wouldn't make sense to me to be running a dog kennel, because I would be running a dog kennel, which would infringe on my high value of freedom. You follow me? So if through circumstance or otherwise I end up running a dog kennel or owning a dog kennel, or however you want to position me in the order of operations, I'm already in conflict with one of my highest values. I am going to feel conflicted. I'm going to feel unsatisfied. I'm going to feel unfulfilled. And in fact, a lot of people are finding out now that if you're far off of what your values are, you actually get quite sick. They're starting to tie illnesses and organ challenges people have with their emotions and how they feel. I don't know if you know this, but when you're in a state of fear or stress, is probably a better choice, state of stress, your body produces cortisone. It's a hormone. Cortisone stops the production of HGH, which is a good hormone. It's human growth hormone. Cortisone stores fats and sugars. Cortisone causes rapid aging of cells. So things that cause you to produce cortisone are not good. If you're in a job that doesn't align, or in a profession that doesn't align with what you have desire about or care about or passion about, then you are definitely at least producing cortisone. It's also tied to diabetes. So where I'm going here is, like me, you probably went to school, went to high school, went to university or college or what have you, and came out, started working, and you were working your way up the ladder or along your career progression, pulling down the bucks, and one day it's like, you know what, I don't even know if I want to do this. I don't know if I like what I'm doing. I don't know if any amount of money can make me like what I'm doing. So what do you do then? Well, you can maybe try a career change or a relationship change, whatever it is. That's what we do. We fumble around because we don't understand the core cause of the struggle that we're having. I know that I'm doing what I am passionate about now because I feel good every time I do it. I never have a day of work, right? I just love doing what I do. I love mentoring people and helping them find what's important to them and to get toward. Mentoring doesn't mean I'm an expert at being a person or being an expert at being an entrepreneur or any of those things. But I do have a lot of experience in helping people find what's important to them and building a life around that. So this COVID thing comes along, and suddenly everybody's at home. They're forced to kind of be with family constantly, spouses, boyfriends, girlfriends, children, maybe aunts and uncles later on in the COVID thing, and really testing the strength of these relationships. But another thing is happening. People are starting to wonder, how did I live so many years as a zombie? I just kind of did everything on autopilot. I haven't been satisfying my passions. I've been buying false happiness and, in the form of things or whatever. but I'm doing something that I'm really not passionate about because I have to. I have to pay bills. I mean, let's face it, we have to have a practical life. But what are you passionate about? What are your values? You know, if one of your highest values is integrity, would it make sense to be a politician or a criminal attorney? You know what I mean? You would definitely be in conflict with it. At least that's my opinion. If you're a lawyer, that's cool. You know, make your own choices. But I think I would be conflicted if one of my highest values, which it is integrity, and one of the things that I do is defend criminals. I would definitely be violating that value, wouldn't I? So how do you find out what your values are? Well, you can just Google personal values and you can find about 3 pages with 300 values from loyalty, integrity, affluence, freedom, and kind of go through them. First pick out your top 50 and then get that down to 25. If you can get it down to 3 or 5, you're doing pretty good. And there's a cool little test you can try. Have you ever just suddenly had like a headache or your heart, kind of, I don't mean a heart attack, but your heart kind of, you feel pressure in your heart, or you have like a sinking feeling in your stomach? Your highest value is the value that's attached to your heart. So if your highest value is, say, loyalty, and you found out your boyfriend, girlfriend, or spouse cheated on you, you would feel very heartbroken. I mean, most people would feel heartbroken, but if your highest value is loyalty, you in particular, because that's your highest value, it would definitely hit your heart. Your second highest value is in your head. So if that value is compromised, it's typically manifests as, a headache or something like that. And the third value, and really any of your values to a lower degree, can upset your stomach. You get that sinking feeling in your stomach. So these things can very much manifest physically. And figuring out what your values are is super important, because what your values are is what you're here for. And if you aren't aligned with what you're here for, you might get sick. You'll definitely not be as happy as you would be if you were honoring your values and following your passion. I want you to go and Google, find out what my highest values are. Oh, and by the way, my wife, Sonia, is a success coach, and that's something they spend a lot of time on. And I really like when she gets feedback from her past coaching students. She had one guy that went through, he had a bad divorce, he lost his family, he lost his kids, he lost most of his assets. He just left them all with her because at the time he thought it was a good thing to do. So he was broke. He hated his job. He wanted to teach children about money. He wanted to teach children to be financially literate, and he had no idea where to start or what to do. Well, Sonia started coaching him. She really cared about his cause, and he seemed like a really nice guy. So she started coaching him, initially pro bono, to get paid on the back. And after about 1.5 years, he sent her this long email with a picture. And in the picture, he was at the BMW dealer in Toronto buying his M4 car in cash, which he 100% attributed to the coaching she did with him, so he could go down this career path of writing children's financial literacy books. And he had got a deal and was super stoked. And like I say, that's what she does. So if you want help with values, I can probably help you, but she's even better at it than I am. If you have a larger, more grand thing you want to get into, you've got to know your values, right? Because if you don't, you'll be going down the wrong path. I served in the military for 22.5 years, and I wasn't doing it for very long, when I realized that being potentially in a place where I'm taking other people's lives does not sit well with me. It compromises or conflicts with one of my highest values, which is a value for life and empathy.